Okay, good evening everyone. We're continuing with 3 minutes of Tehillim. We are up to Perek, Kuf Vav, Psalm 106. This is the last Perek in Sefer Revi in the 4th book of Tehillim. And Perek begins, Hallelujah, Hodul Hashem, Ki Tov, Ki Ulam Chasto. A pasuk we're very familiar with, right? Praise Hashem, for He is good, He is steadfast, and His kindness is eternal. Then the next pasuk, Mi Yimalel Gevuras Hashem, who can say of the mighty acts of Hashem, Yashmiya Kol Tilaso. In other words, the one who can tell us this, he should proclaim all of his praises. This pasuk is cited by some Mefarshim as a source for not adding additional descriptions of Hashem. We just daven mincha, and in the beginning of the Shemona Esrei, we say that Hashem is Hakel, Hagibor, Vahanora, Hagadol, Hagibor, Vahanora. We just say 3 descriptions. And the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Kuf Yud Gimel, Or Chaim, Siman, Kuf Yud Gimel, Sif Tes, says, Ein Lahosif. You're not supposed to add on to these phrases. It actually comes from a Gemara in Brachos, because the Gemara in Brachos says there was a fellow who added on a bunch of different phrases in front of Rabbi Chanina. He says, Hakel, Hagadol, Hagibor, Vanora, Vaha'adir, Vahayizu, Vahayaroi, Vahachazak, Amitz, all these different honorifics of Hashem. And Rabbi Chanina saw him doing this, and he waited till he was finished. It's interesting the Gemara points that out. He didn't interrupt him. He let him finish. And then he asked him, he said, that's enough? You said enough? That was like you encapsulated God by saying what you did. And he said, only reason we can say Hagadol Hagibor Vahanora is because Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who originally decreed this. And the Anshe Knesset Hagadola, without getting into all the details, at a certain point we lost the confidence to say it. The Anshe Knesset Hagadola, they reinstituted. They were what the Gemara calls they were metakein. They're actually their name comes from this. The Gemara Numa says shehachzira atar liyoshna, that they returned the original, come back to the original splendor of those words. So what does this exactly mean, and why are we using other people's words? And why do they call the Anshe Knesset Hagadola? So I'll just briefly share with you that this evening, actually, this is connected. This evening we're giving my second installment of the lecture, the great debates and controversies of Jewish history. And tonight we're doing Reform, Conservative, Orthodoxy, the struggle for the soul of modern Jewry at 8 p.m. Everyone's invited. And we're going to be quoting a Chasam Sofer. The Chasam Sofer was very critical of those who decided that they wanted to change the Siddur and deviate from what the Anshe Knesset Hagadola established for us, going all the way back, obviously, to Moshe Rabbeinu. And the reason that he gives for this is he says that for thousands of years, these tefillos were used, and no one said a peep about it. Everyone accepted it. It was accepted throughout all of Klal Yisrael. And we have very few statements, he says, over the thousands of years of Chazal, of Chachmei Yisrael. We have very few statements. Obviously, you have Gemaras, you have Mishnayos, but there are very few statements that are directly attributed to the Anshe Knesset Hagadola. And he says specifically, when it comes to tefillah, that it was accepted through all of Klal Yisrael. And for you to deviate from this, the Chasam Sofer has many arguments, but what he says is you can't deviate from the tefillah. And I was just thinking that we call a Beis HaKnesses. Rav Soloveitchik says this is a shorthand. Really, it's Beis Knesset Yisrael. It's a gathering point of all the Jewish people. And when we daven, we think of, the natural thing we think about is our personal encounter with Hashem. But there's also something else that we encounter, and that is we're encountering through all of the tefillos of all Klal Yisrael, for all of history. Rav Soloveitchik points this out. We're connecting beyond our moment in time we're at right now. We're using the tefillos for Klal Yisrael for all time. We're in this historical continuum. And Anshe Knesset Hagadola, I would maybe suggest, were called they were the men of the Knesset Hagadola because they are the repository of the Mesorah of Klal Yisrael. And therefore, when we use the tefillos, even though they're not our own, when we use the tefillos, we're sharing the words that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, through the Mesorah, gave to us, and we're connecting through Klal Yisrael, through our history, through the love, through the pain, through the struggle, the dream that we've always had, and we're connecting to all of Jewish history in this moment. So that's why it's so important when we come to tefillos to utilize the tefillos that we were given to connect both with the Ribono Shel Olam, but also with all of Jewish history.